Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So as you can tell, this tutorial is all about brows and the importance of them. Young ladies, if you are watching this, please don't tweeze. So a little backstory, when I was in high school, I did tweeze a lot. I've never really had a full set of brows. They've always been super thin, and then when they grow out, they just grow out straight. So over the years, what I used to do, and if you see my last tutorial on this, which was over a year ago, I showed how I basically cut them down. Well, I didn't show that in the video because I didn't want you to try that at home. But I did used to cut them down. I used to cut them down all the way to the stub and fill them in, just so that when the hair grows out, there was no, you couldn't tell. But yeah, I'm glad I grew over that and out of that stage. And today I'm going to show you do my eyebrows. So the first way is by Ben Nye, and it's the Media Pro Eye Definer in the shade Espresso. And I'll provide you guys a link from where you can purchase it right here. And if you're local, I'll also provide you with a place that I get my stuff from Ben Nye from. Okay, so this is a TNT Cosmetic brush, and it's just a basically an angled brush. What I like to do is just pinch the tips of it to make it as thin and flat as possible. And that's Harley in the background. Yeah. We had the smart idea to bring her in here with us, with her kennel. Let's see how it goes. She escaped! Oh my god. When I do my brows, no matter which technique that I'm using, I always go in with my Urban Decay Primer Potion in the shade Eden. So literally over the entire space. And the reason that... You guys, I'm trying to talk through the video. I'm doing a talk through, be quiet. So I basically applied Urban Decay Primer Potion in the shade Eden all over my brows. And the reason why I do that, to make it last longer. To give it something to grab onto. Also, I'm just picking up some of the Ben Nye, coating the brush back and forth. And then I'm gonna grab a paper towel and I'm gonna pinch the tips of it to make it flat again. This one would be my softer feathered brow. Harley. So the first thing I'm gonna do is draw a line underneath the brow. And start to curve it at the arch, like so. Now this is very important. When it comes to the beginning of the brow, as you can see here, quite a bit of room. And the wider the brow, literally the wider my nose will look. So it's all about balance. You guys want to make sure that everything's balanced out. So if I take this brush and put it right up against the outer part of the nose, that's typically where you want to start it. So I'm just going to connect that in a little bit, like so. I don't want to have so much product on the brush at this point, because now we're going to start to feather it up. Always start with the tail of the brow, because that's where I want it to be a little bit more darker. And now with whatever's left, I'm just going over slightly. I don't like to draw out a line here and then draw a line here, and that just looks too harsh for me, for my personal taste. So I always stick to drawing a line on the bottom only. And then again, with whatever's left on the brush, I start to feather that in. So when it comes to the beginning of the brow, I want to do a lot more lighter stroke. So again, I'm not picking up any more product. I'm just using the whatever's left on the brush. When it comes to cleaning up under the brow, I use different products depending on what eyeshadow look I'm going for. So if I'm doing something with this eye look, which basically does not require any eyeshadow at all, I'm going to go in with a shade that's as close to my skin tone as possible, as close as my lid color as possible. So I've been playing around with the new NARS, well not so new, but the NARS Soft Matte Complete Concealers. And I have some samples that I picked up while the last visit to the NARS boutique. So I'm gonna mix two shades, which are, I'm gonna mix Caramel and Custard. And I'm just picking that up on an Urban Decay brush. It's the brush that comes in the Naked 2 palette. So the one end is flat and the other end is fluffy. So it's perfect because on the flat end I'm going to use to define the outer part, well, the under part of the brow, and the fluffy side will help me blend out the edges. So once that's laid down, I'm going to flip the brush on the other side and start to blend that out. Okay, so at this point, I'm now just gauging to see if I feel like the beginning part of the brow could use a little bit more product. So again, picking up no more product, but this time I'm going in with a little bit more, with a little bit more of a firmer touch. And I'm going to kind of intensify areas that I feel need a little bit more filling in. Okay, and that brow is done. So now we're going to move on to this side, and this side is going to be my more intense side. So now we're going to go back in again with my Ben Nye Media Pro Eye Definer in the shade Espresso, and I'm going to do the same thing. And it's going to get a little bit different in a little bit. So again, we're going to start off by underlining the brow. So I know for some people it may be hard to try to get your eyebrows to match, but I promise you, if you're following your natural brow shape, mind you, yes, one may be higher than the other because that's how mine are. But if you're following, you want to follow that first, and then at the end you can kind of gauge to see where there's a difference. If one's higher than the other, if one's darker than the other, if one's more separated than the other. But you always want to start off with the natural brow shape. So I'm just following that line. Okay, so here's where it's going to get a little different, guys. Instead of me wiping off the brush and whatever's left on the brush, I'm going to go straight in, and I'm going to start to hair-like strokes. But this is going to be a little bit more intense, so I'm applying a lot more pressure to this. Okay, so now when it comes to the beginning of the brow, we can go a little bit more intense. Mind you, I have not wiped off any product yet off the brush, but I'm doing just a mix of up and down motions, flicking it up, and then a little bit back and forth. Okay. So I know you guys seen me in other tutorials powder my brow, and I'm going to show you exactly how I do that now. Patrick Starr's collaboration with MAC Cosmetics. I'm picking that up. I'm picking that up on a fluffy I'm picking that up on a fluffy blending brush, which is the other side of the Urban Decay. And the reason why I'm doing this is because it's so dark, and I want to kind of not have it so bold and so intense. And so this helps kind of calm down the colors and set it in place. Okay, so once I've powdered the brow, I'm now going to go in with the spoolie, and I'm just going to comb through it. And this helps get rid of any excess powder. So I do like the kind of ash tone effect that it gives to the brow, because sometimes the brows could look a little bit more on the red undertone, but my hair is black. So ashiness looks a lot better on my brows than would a red tone. Okay, so once that's laid down, now I'm going to go in with, believe it or not, my AMC number 77, well, my Inglot number 77 black gel liner. And yes, I know this is going to be pretty intense and a little bit scary for some of you guys, but this is what I use to create that 3D hair-like effect. Okay, so I just picked some up on my angled brush the same way I did with the Ben Nye Media Pro Eye Definer brush. So pinched off the tips of the brush again. And now I'm going to go in first and underline it. But this time I'm not going to come all the way to the tip of the brow, to the beginning of the brow. I want to just keep it right here where the natural hair starts. And then I'm going, as I'm applying it, I'm feathering it up. When it comes to the tail of the brow, I'm just repeating the process as I did in the beginning and just using hair-like strokes. You notice that I'm not just going you know, it's just very feather hair-like strokes. And now for the fun part. Now we're going to draw on the hairs in the beginning of the brow. So this part does take a lot more patience. It's more precision. You could even use a thinner brush, but I like to use this one. It's what works for me. But this time we're only working with the very, very tip of that angle. I don't know if you guys can see that. We're only working with the very tip. And now with very gentle movements, we're going to start with the pointy side of the angle brush. And we're going to draw these hair-like, the hairs in the same direction as my natural hair would grow. I'm going to go back in with my spoolie and just comb it into place as if I would if it was a natural hair. And now we're going to just clean it up the same way. So the other technique that I use when I'm cleaning, well, the other product that I use when I'm cleaning up under the brows, if I'm going to be wearing some eyeshadow and I want a clean, completely clean canvas to work with, then I'll go in with my Studio Fix NC20 Studio Fix Concealer, Studio Finish Concealer, and NC20. So I'm just going to show you what that would look like. And what this does is it also gives a lot more of an intensity to the brows. And again, just blending that out. Okay, so as you can tell, this one is a lot more softer, more natural, and this one is a lot more intense, more bold. So I'll usually do this brow when I'm going for a more of intense makeup look, right? Or sometimes I'll go for this one if I'm doing a softer makeup look. And as always, if there's anything else that you'd like to see me do, then just leave it in the comment section down below. And until next time, thank you guys so much for watching.